Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Pressing Matters, Pakistan's number one football show. Tonight, we are going to talk about Manchester City 4, Real Madrid nil, 5-1 on aggregate. And I have with me Sheikh Hamdan of Karachi United, a regular guest on the show. Hamdan, 4-0 demolition, statement victory. Um, Everyone's been talking about whether this victory is how this victory ranks in terms of being the best or one of the best, but do you think this is the best Manchester City performance under Pep Guardiola?
यार आई थिंक इफ यू कंसिडर द कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑफ इट, अगर आप उस पूरे मैग्नीट्यूड को देखें। वो पिछली बार जो है वो फाइनल में भी पहुंचे जब वो चेल्सी से खेले थे। बट इन टर्म्स ऑफ मैग्नीट्यूड आफ्टर व्हाट हैपेंड लास्ट सीजन, जो वो रियल मैड्रिड का वो जो एक उनका कमबैक था, आई थिंक यस इट इज डोमिनेटिंग। लेकिन वही वाली चीज है, इवन आई फील अभी जो आर्सेनल के अगेंस्ट द गेम दे प्लेड द फर्स्ट हाफ, आई फेल्ट दैट वाज सो डोमिनेटिंग। मतलब आर्सेनल के अगेंस्ट उन्होंने फर्स्ट हाफ खेला था अभी रिसेंट गेम में, वो भी। और उसमें मुझे लगता है कि ज्यादा चांसेस उस हाफ में उन्होंने क्रिएट किए थे उस गेम में अगेंस्ट आर्सेनल। यस, इस गेम में ये था कि चांसेस उतने क्रिएशन नहीं थी शुरू के अंदर, थे दो तीन चांस, बट बॉल बिल्कुल ही उस हाफ में पैक था। सो यस, बट वन ऑफ द मोस्ट डोमिनेटिंग परफॉर्मेंसेस इन द चैंपियंस लीग फॉर श्योर,
Yeah, I
पेप
think
के
I
टाइम में।
think if you add the context of not only opposition quality, because I think they've done it before with like against teams of immense quality like Liverpool in their like when they've been at their best under Klopp. I think that is the best opposition that City have faced, and I think they've not dominated them like that, but still they've been able to win those games, and not people didn't feel like after they won that they didn't deserve to win. So they've definitely had those performances in them. But I think you're absolutely right. The reason why this stands out is because of certain factors, which is one, it's the defending champions Real Madrid. Two, what happened last year in the semi-final against this very leg. और उसके अलावा I think also the fact that Real Madrid has this intangible, I don't know how to say it, it's like European football royalty, mysticism attached to them. You see last year's run, you see even the first leg, you can never count Madrid out of the game, and you always felt like there was a question mark on Pep City, that they could always implode, that they always in knockout football they always had that rough 15 minutes, 10 minutes in which their game could blow, like the opposition could take the game away from them. So I think in that context it was absolutely I think a statement victory of Pep's reign at City.
100%। वो सारे फैक्टर्स थे, लेकिन मतलब इन टर्म्स ऑफ, अगर आप पेप के टीम्स को अगर आप ओवरऑल देखो, मेरी नज़र में मुझे ये लगता है कि जो पेप की फर्स्ट टाइटल विनिंग टीम थी, दैट वाज ऑलमोस्ट द मोस्ट कंप्लीट टीम। बट देयर वाज अगेन द एलिमेंट ऑफ ऑलमोस्ट। और ये वाली टीम इज द मोस्ट कंप्लीट टीम, यू वुड से। Probably the reasons being they could win in different ways. So if you remember the leg against Bayern Munich, where in the in that first, or was it the second half, where they changed their pressing structure, and then they started creating chances through their out of possession movement. Or against Madrid, it was completely how they kept possession, and then how good they were in defensive transitions to win the ball back as quickly as possible. सो you're seeing they're winning in different sort of ways. वो वाली पेप की सिटी वो ये था कि हाँ यार, जब भी बॉल है तो यस दे कुड किल यू। बट दिस इज प्रोबेबली द मोस्ट कंप्लीट सिटी टीम आई फील। उसके उस टीम के अंदर थोड़ी सी डायरेक्टनेस ज्यादा थी, बट इस ये टीम कॉम्पनसेट करती है विद देयर डिफेंसिव सॉलिडिटी। अगर इवन इफ यू लुक एट नेथन आके एंड मानुएल अकांजी's performances, and how he talks about those 1v1 defending situations and how good they have been. So this is, I feel, wow man, what a team he's created, yeah. And the last part on City, matlab, we could go on and talk about City. Within 6 years or 7 years, this is their fourth team that he's produced. First team वो थी जिसमें Zabaleta और Kolarov थे.
Yeah, I
Second
think
team
he's
had,
produced three. I think he's been in charge of
चलो अगर
four. पहले को निकाल
पहले
दो.
को हटा दो, हाँ पहले को हटा दो, थर्ड टीम यू टॉकिंग अबाउट, थर्ड टीम इन 6 or 7 years, इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग, जो कि कंप्लीट एक डिफरेंट आइडेंटिटी है। पहली वाली टीम वो had the directness of Sane,
Stane, Sterling,
Sterling,
Aguero, David
Kun
Silva.
Aguero, David Silva. Then the second was the one which it
Extra
had
complete control.
मतलब
All the midfielders in the world: Bernardo,
all
Kevin De
midfield,
Bruyne,
yeah.
Gundogan,
No strikers, not playing with a striker.
Mahrez, and yeah,
Then with the
everyone.
second one, you've got the third one, you've got Haaland, but then you've got Kevin De Bruyne. Yeah, Bernardo
You got
Silva
John
plays
Stones
as
coming in midfield.
John Stones, Gundogan. Uh, every year you feel this is the most complete Gundogan you've got. Yeah, unbelievable what he's done. Hats off to this guy. Yeah. I mean, but जब तक वो जीतेगा नहीं तो वो no
नहीं,
one will recognize him.
इस पे आई रियली थिंक इस पे एंड में आते हैं कि वो जीतेगा तो क्या होगा, नहीं जीतेगा तो क्या होगा, बट आई थिंक you and I both agree that tactically and quality wise, we feel City were much superior even last year as a team, right?
100%. There are no
Yeah.
two ways
So
about it.
so the question mark was that the minute they got it right mentally, the minute that they were ready to how would you put it? The minute that they were ready to accept adversity without the ball.
Yeah, you
Uh,
know what? They started doing it from last season. From
Yes,
last
but
season,
I think
they
that at the
started that
highest
only.
level they did it this year,
Yeah,
where they were,
they
and
started.
actually Ruben Diaz actually talked about this as well, that
Yeah,
we have become more comfortable as a team,
yeah.
accepting that defending is part of.
Yeah, even Bernardo said that the first few seasons we were so hell bent on keeping the ball and playing our way, and now this season we've completed how to play without the ball as well. So I think it's a major element. I mean, in knockout
Yeah, yeah,
football, यार जो last season था, to in my opinion, they City were the better team 170 minutes out of those 180 minutes. ठीक है.
for sure.
और फिर वो उन 10 मिनट के अंदर जो है वो दो गोल्स आउट ऑफ नोवेयर देन वो मोमेंटम कंप्लीटली
Again,
शिफ्ट है.
वही वाली बात है. It's
हाँ,
always been in them, or people have felt, and it's often enough for people to feel, because if people feel, then Real Madrid feel that they've got those 10 minutes in them. If Real Madrid
या
feel they've got those 10 minutes in them, then you're done. And
100%.
City also know that people think they've got those 10 minutes in them, so it all played in. But this year,
यार
City
या
are crazy.
I was noticing City's off ball performances a bit yesterday even, and I'm one major change, and I don't know, maybe मैंने उतने गौर से नहीं देखा, और इस season we're forced to watch City how they're playing out of possession. Each and every player in their back four was so switched on, and they were even speaking about how and when players should even press in midfield. So, for example, City were dropping in one stage, and Ruben Diaz was constantly directing the City players, "यार ये player free हो रहा है, go and press him." And that is again part of the culture where how there was so much emphasis now being put on कि we have to get this defensively right as well. क्योंकि इन चैंपियंस लीग एंड इन नॉकआउट स्पेशली एक एक खराब मोमेंट की कहानी है, एक
Exactly.
मोमेंट आया और गोल. यू हैव टू बी सो स्विच्ड ऑन टू गेट दोस परफॉर्मेंसेस एंड
और
स्पेशली टू डू इट, क्योंकि आप एक ऐसी टीम हो जो मेजोरिटी ऑफ द टाइम्स आप बॉल रखते हो अपने पास, to then now play. I would love to see कि what are the percentage of possessions he has had this season versus compared to all the other seasons. और आई एम श्योर कोई डिफरेंस है, 100%
I
डिफरेंस
think
है.
even if there isn't a difference, even if there isn't a difference, I think how comfortable they are when that, for example, if they have the
या
ball for an average of 65% and the rest is 35%, how
हाँ
comfortable they are in the 35% this year. And especially because at the highest level, when you're against Real Madrid, especially a team like Real Madrid, they don't care if you have the ball for ages, right? It's not like they're sitting compact anyway, but they just don't care.
या
And they just want to kill you with transition, or they want that one chance. And
या
they're smelling blood basically.
You know,
So
had that Tony Cruz chance gone in, that the long ranger,
yeah,
that would have been a complete momentum changer
and there would have been a different
against
game.
Liverpool Madrid
Yeah, yeah,
game,
yeah.
the
That's
round of
exactly
16.
what happened.
That one goal, I think Vinicius scored that goal.
Yes,
वो
yes.
ए- अगर वो 10 बार उसने शॉट लेना है ना,
वो
20
एक
बार
दफा
तो एक ही
जाएगा.
बार अंदर
और
जाएगा,
मजे की
वो
बात
एक बार
बताऊं,
उस गेम
मजे की
में
बात
गया.
बताऊं, वो 20 मिनट में या कुछ इस तरह हुआ था, या 25 मिनट में. उससे पहले लिवरपूल इसी तरह रियाल को डोमिनेट करती जिस तरह मैन सिटी कर रही थी.
100%. और वो
मतलब
गोल
लिवरपूल
वाज
चढ़ गई थी.
वो वाव मोमेंट था. इट वाज अ कंप्लीट वाव मोमेंट, एंड फ्रॉम देयर द बिलीफ कंप्लीटली चेंज.
या
लास्ट लेग में मुझे याद है बेंजेमा का मोमेंट आया था वेयर द बिलीफ कंप्लीटली चेंज.
या So yeah, I think it's helped them a lot because now they've gotten comfortable without the ball, and obviously at the highest level against the top teams, you will need to spend time without the ball. Anyway, I
Yeah.
think the second question is how important was this for Pep and City?
यार अगेन दिस इज अबाउट नैरेटिव्स इन माय ओपिनियन कि आई मीन वो नैरेटिव वो है क्योंकि इस टीम पे हमेशा से देयर हैज ऑलवेज बीन अ क्वेश्चन मार्क आर दे गुड इनफ टू विन द चैंपियंस लीग कैन पेप मैनेज इट विदाउट मेसी डू सिटी हैव देम इन देम कैन पेप play a different style of football because supposedly Champions League में it's not only about keeping possession. आई थिंक इट्स डाउन टू नैरेटिव्स मेरी नज़र में क्योंकि यार नॉकआउट जिस तरह हम डिस्कस कर रहे हैं और इफ यू आस्क एनी फुटबॉल गाय एनी कोच और एनी वन हु वॉचेस द गेम विद सम कॉमन सेंस जो मैड्रिड की लास्ट ईयर की जो टाइटल विनिंग टीम थी हाउ मेनी मिनट्स डिड दे डोमिनेट इन दोज गेम्स देयर वर ऑलवेज बिट्स एंड पीसेस in that PSG game it went they PSG just went AWOL in those 35 minutes कि वो जहाँ पे जो है वो गोलकीपर ने
I would
लात
say
मार दी
there was
तो
just 15 minutes of
आई डोंट नो
basically
मे
that
बी
changed
दोस
the whole thing.
चेल्सी चेल्सी वाले गेम में यस द फर्स्ट लेग मैड्रिड वर बेटर एंड देन
Yes,
सेकंड लेग चेल्सी completely dominated them against
missed
City
a ton of chances. And then
against
a moment
City
of individual
हाँ
brilliance by Modric.
brilliance. But yeah, against City it was 180 170 minutes completely. तो आप but देखो वो you can get by with certain profiles but तो वो आपको इनफैक्ट अगर आपके पास इतना endurance level in terms of constantly getting those attacks and then surviving mentally and psychologically to come out of it you still need this what कल Roma Bayern I was watching Roma versus Bayern Leverkusen
Bayer
Bayer
Leverkusen,
Leverkusen
yeah.
Bayer Leverkusen यार they had one shot in throughout the game मैं टारगेट की नहीं बात कर रहा रोमा they managed the game they won it क्योंकि उनको they had that resilience in them कि यार वो निकाल सकते हो गेम but over a season of 38 games 36 games that's a completely different ball game तो सिटी के अगेंस्ट चैंपियंस लीग में हमेशा ये वाले एलिमेंट रहा है एक 20 मिनट का स्पेल एक खराब गेम मुझे याद है लियोन वाला गेम वेर ही वेंट एक्सट्रीमली डिफेंसिव एंड प्लेड अ 3-5-2 टू प्रिवेंट लियोन्स काउंटर्स वो भी नहीं प्रिवेंट नहीं कर पाए वो उसमें चांसेस मिस किए रहीम स्टर्लिंग मिस्ड इट फ्रॉम
Ah,
इनसाइड
and then 2 minutes later they scored. Leon
दे
scored.
स्कोर्ड फिर उसके बाद जो है वो टॉटनम वाला सीजन था जिसके अंदर जो है
Yeah.
वो फर्नांडो वो भी एक आध मोमेंट निकल गया था
Yes.
लॉ वो तो
और इनका
देन
ऑफसाइड हो गया
अगेन
था एंड में एगुएरो
हाँ
वाला
वो
गोल।
ऑफसाइड वो आई डोंट थिंक पता हाँ वो वार फर्स्ट सीजन था ना वार का तो मतलब यू
Guardiola was
टॉक
celebrating like this and therefore turns
स्मॉलेस्ट ऑफ
out
मार्जिन्स द स्मॉलेस्ट ऑफ मार्जिन्स हैव बीन आई थिंक कॉम्प्रिहेंसिवली जहाँ ये नॉकआउट हुए थे दैट वाज अगेंस्ट लिवरपूल जहाँ पे वो भी इफ यू रिमेम्बर
actually there that wasn't even fully comprehensive
वो
because in the
यस दोस
second leg
फर्स्ट
first
सेकंड लेग
half
दे ओ या
second leg
दे
first
हैड
half
इनफ
was the
चांसेस
and this is a testament to Pep and probably I have like Pep is petrified of Man City of Real Madrid and stuff like this. I'm also petrified when watching a game like this. So I remember watching the second leg जब मैं देख रहा था लिवरपूल 3-0 up थी ठीक है. Now no Liverpool fan in their right mind would be worried unless it goes 3-1 or 3-2 or something. I was scared shitless at 3-0 at the Etihad because I knew कि अगर कोई एक बंदा है ना जो इसको हमें सफोकेट करके मार सकता है अभी भी वो ये है because I had seen his Bayern do it to Atletico Madrid. I had seen his Bayern do it to Juventus, Bayern Munich, do it to Juventus where they absolutely mauled them, couldn't get out of their own half, and Juventus had a lead actually. And extra time में जाके Bayern won. And then there was a penalty call, which you could say City should have had a penalty. Maybe I don't know क्या होना चाहिए था, but there's definitely was a shout. और अगर वो penalty दे दी जाती और उधर वो 1-0 कर देते तो मामला बहुत फर्क हो
Yeah,
जाना
but
था.
then again, I think Liverpool were, in my opinion, this is just my opinion. Liverpool were probably the team who's been closest to
Of course.
defeating that City team properly in those Champions
Yeah,
League
yeah,
games.
for sure.
Yeah, one more important stat is, and which I I do not know, but apparently this seems to be the case. They've only won one away game throughout this Champions League campaign. One away game throughout this campaign, Champions League के अंदर. वाह और अभी जब मैं याद कर रहा हूँ आई डोंट नो इफ यू कैन चेक इट और नॉट बट मुझे याद पड़ा है एक गेम है और याद नहीं पड़ा स्टैट अभी मैं जब सोच रहा हूँ उन गेम्स के बारे में तो आई थिंक बायर्न के अगेंस्ट फर्स्ट लेग में दे वन 3-0 और फिर नेक्स्ट लेग जीतने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ी थी अगेंस्ट रियल। लास्ट गेम जो है वो पहला गेम दे
Hold
ड्रू
on,
इट।
I'll check. You can go
या
on. Yeah, I'll
प्लीज
check.
चेक इट, प्लीज चेक, प्लीज
I'll
चेक, क्योंकि
check.
मैं ये देखना चाह रहा हूँ कि ऐसा हुआ भी है कि नहीं हुआ है। लाइप्जिग के अगेंस्ट आई थिंक देयर वाज अ 3-3 और वन ऑफ दोस गेम्स दे लॉस्ट एज वेल। कोई एक गेम ये जीते हैं सिर्फ। तो
So it
इट
was
इज
a draw versus Bayern Munich away,
या
right? And then it was a draw versus Leipzig away,
ओके
1-1. And
सही है।
then let me see. The Leipzig was the quarterfinal, I think. And then
मड्रिड के साथ, मड्रिड
before
के साथ
Madrid
ड्रॉ
के
हुआ
साथ
है।
1-1 draw हुआ.
हाँ
Dortmund के साथ draw हुआ 0-0.
ओके।
And then yeah, this is probably true. I think the only game they won was against Sevilla 4-0 away
सेविया अबे
at the
दैट,
Sanchez Pizjuan Stadium. I think that's it.
और बाकी
Every
सारे
and then even FC Copenhagen they drew 0-0 away.
क्रेजी। आई डोंट नो व्हाट कोरिलेशन दिस हैज, बट
I
देयर इज
think
वन थिंग
some of
अगर
it is like so FC Copenhagen वाला मैच मुझे याद है they'd already qualified I think so they were
ठीक
like
है, आप यू कैन
खिला
टेक
दो.
दैट अवे, यू कैन टेक देन, यू कैन टेक दैट अवे, बट इफ यू कंसिडर आई थिंक the foundations were laid in the first leg against Madrid at the Bernabeu. They were so wary, and the way City played, they changed their structure to the different 4-2-4, very cautious 4-2-4. It wasn't the 4-2-4 they played against Arsenal, क्योंकि I think उसमें भी
Yeah,
सरप्राइज किया था,
this was a
but
different one.
this was a different one. They wanted to keep possession of the ball. They didn't want players to be brave and attack those
That
spaces जो
actually,
Madrid
it's
leaves
very
कर रहा
interesting
था।
you brought that up. I think the way we can describe it to people is that the difference between the Arsenal one and the Real Madrid one was the Arsenal one they used it so that they would attract Arsenal's press and then
Yeah,
open up the space for De Bruyne and Haaland
yeah.
in between the
And
lines.
they were a
And
lot
they were a
brave
lot
in their
vertical.
penetrative
They were a
passes,
lot
a lot
vertical,
penetrative passes,
right?
मैं
Because
a lot.
they probably didn't care that much about the transition
Yeah,
because they didn't
yeah,
fear it that much. Over here, they brought all the players back because I think they also feel
yeah,
like Madrid won't press as much as Arsenal. So it would
yeah.
actually create a numerical superiority. Have Gundogan there, have Rodri, Stones, all of them, and
And
then
then
they
they wanted a structure of four players to
yeah
then
four
prevent
two
against those
four
counters.
two.
Yeah, counters, the
It wasn't a three
counters,
two. It
the
was a 4-2.
four
Even
two.
one more.
No, I'm saying कि उनको ट्रांजिशंस पे भी चार प्लेयर चाहिए थे, rather than
Exactly.
having those 3 and 2
Yeah.
they wanted to
Yeah.
have 4 and 2. So it was very cautious. Now, that one all draw gave them the impetus and gave them the license to start the next half, and I think this was very much planned. Like this didn't happen by coincidence. KR City were being overly cautious. Yeah, naturally, I think this was planned. ये नहीं था कि game state कुछ इस तरह की हो रही थी
Hmm.
कि City ने कहा यार you know what, and even after go 1 all जब उन्होंने City ने equalize किया था, they did not go for that second goal
Yes.
as much as we felt they were, because me and you and KK, we were speaking together and saying, "Yaar, second half में can City push Gundogan up in that left half space? Can they have Alvarez instead of Haaland who can link up play more? Can they be more brave?" But no, it seemed that City, but this is what they came out to do. They were very happy with that 1-all draw.
Yeah.
And as soon as the second half came, and I think एक चीज ये है कि Carlo Ancelotti even knew that this is what City will do. He said कि हमने खास तौर से इस बारे में बात भी की थी कि हमें पहले 20-25 मिनट जो है ना वो we have to bear the pressure. But they conceded within those first 30 minutes. तो वो उन्होंने कहा कि यार वो हमारा प्लान सारा खराब हो गया.
Yeah. I
I don't
think
know what I don't know what plan they had. Random pressing, पता नहीं मॉडरिच कभी मैन मार्क करने
that's
के
the
लिए रॉड्री
plan.
को जा
That's
रहा
the
है।
plan. Free. That's the plan. Free. You're free to do as you please. सबको
Rodri,
खुश रखना है.
there was one interesting thing. I don't know why, what. So Modric would jump out on Rodri all the way,
And
even
and
from their
and and
build-up.
and and, and Cruz and Fede Valverde would just go to the sides, and
Exactly.
John Stones would just power through.
Then once Rodri got the ball, Modric would drop off
Yeah,
completely.
yeah,
मैंने कहा
and
यार,
they
मैंने
just
कहा तो
did.
जाए। I do not know, but credit to Carlo, they changed it 30 minutes after the game. 30 minutes in they changed it, and then Rodrigo was starting to press Rodri, उन्होंने चेंज किया था, but मतलब was it a bit too late? Possibly, but 10 मिनट क्या बहुत जल्दी होते, perhaps, These are fine margins in football,
Yeah,
which certainly
I
decide a
think
game.
I think that again, like we mentioned, there was a stark difference from the first leg. I think
Yeah,
it's something that I also mentioned on this channel that there was like the Real Madrid center backs were very close to Haaland. It was like
yeah,
a 2v1, and that there and Carvajal was very close to Grealish,
yeah,
touched
yeah,
right to him because of his 1v1 ability and because he doesn't like to go in behind. So there was a big
yeah.
gap between Carvajal
The
and Rudiger.
center
Yeah,
back, and
and but City still did not push anyone up there. They
yeah,
still kept Gundogan back because
yeah,
I think Pep, understandably, based on his PTSD and everything that he's had over the years, he wanted to make sure that he stayed in the tie at the Bernabeu. He's like,
yeah,
first leg, I stay in the tie at the Etihad, we will win it. And I
yeah,
think the first leg, he also scoped out Madrid and he realized that, okay, this is what they're going to do. This is where how I can dismantle them. And then
yeah.
after staying in the game, he needed just 90 minutes to, and then at the Etihad at home, he went back to
Blitzed
his
them.
usual shape,
They
absolutely
tore
blitzed
them.
them,
They
fine-tuned
tore them
his
apart.
usual shape to Madrid's weaknesses and annihilated them. And I think Pep even mentioned this after the game. What we've been talking about and we discussed actually, and I put out a video about this, that he said that the difference between the first leg and the second leg was that we pushed one of our number eights, which is Gundogan, further up the pitch in
Yeah,
that left half space. And that
yeah,
actually caused, what that did? That didn't actually cause, maybe sometimes even Gundogan didn't get, a lot of the times Gundogan get the ball directly or didn't have space because Red Madrid were deep. But what it did
mm,
was it influenced Fede Valverde. It
mm.
influenced Carvajal to the point where they always had a free player, right? Because Rodrigo wasn't doing
यार,
anything.
if you sorry, I'm cutting you out.
Yeah,
Even if you remember, the City's equalizer came from the same thing.
yeah,
उन्होंने second half में गुंडोगन को push किया था थोड़ा सा आगे.
yes.
He had a bit more license. और वो जिस section में गोल आया था, गुंडोगन was in that position. I
And
know
that's
वो
where he
De
laid it
Bruyne,
off to
yeah, De
Devin De
Bruyne
Bruyne.
out हो गया. And I think after that 1-1, it was again back to that
Yeah,
same
yeah,
structure.
yeah, exactly.
Because तो वो बिल्कुल एक completely planned चीज थी. Like it really wasn't a coincidence कि यार ये पेप overthink नहीं था.
यार
the
एक सेकंड
the
इस पे
thing
भी थोड़ी बात कर लें। ओवर थिंक का क्या चक्कर है? आई डोंट अंडरस्टैंड। जब ये जीतता है तो कोई कुछ नहीं बोलता। अब जॉन स्टोन्स वाली चीज जो है, जॉन स्टोन्स कमिंग इनटू मिडफील्ड, अब नाउ आई थिंक एवरीवन विल एग्री इन हु इज वाचिंग फुटबॉल दैट दैट हैज वर्कड, राइट? नो वन विल डिसएग्री। लेट्स सपोज आई गिव यू अ थॉट एक्सपेरिमेंट, लेट्स सपोज ही डज इट फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम अगेंस्ट रियल मैड्रिड, right? Now that tactically it sound, we've seen it work, right? But let's suppose they lose the game. Everyone would say he's overthunk. Why has he put
यार क्योंकि
overthought?
देखो,
Like why has
यार
he
यार
put
देखो,
John Stones over there?
यार बेसिकली एक जो चीज खराब की है ना सोशल मीडिया ने, वो ये की है कि हर किसी को जबान दे दी है. ठीक है. मतलब देखो, सच्ची बात ये है कि मुझे मुझे सियासत की कुछ नहीं पता कि खान साहब कहाँ कब अरेस्ट हुए. मैं दुबई में था. मेरे मामू ने कहा वो खान साहब अरेस्ट हो गए, व्हाट्स योर ओपिनियन. मैंने कहा अरेस्ट हो गए, आई स्वेयर आई डोंट. आई
Yeah, I
तो
don't have
मैं भी
a, no
अगर
one supposed to
मैंने
have an
कहा यार,
opinion.
अगर मैं आके ओपिनियन देना शुरू कर दूं, तो मैं लेजी ओपिनियन दूंगा ना, क्योंकि मैं उस बारे में अवेयर नहीं हूँ. तो दिस इज द इजिएस्ट व्हाट देव डन ना. ओ पेप हैज प्लेड दिस. ओवरथिंक कर दिया पेप ने, क्योंकि एक नैरेटिव बिल्ड हो गया ना कि यार पेप हमेशा
ये
सेमीफाइनल
हुआ था,
में.
बाय द वे, ये हुआ था बर्नार्डो सिल्वा जब लेफ्ट बैक बना था, लेफ्ट बैक आर्सेनल के खिलाफ।
हाँ, कि वो
अब
इस
वो
वजह
मैच
से जो है
जीते
ना वो.
तो उन्होंने कुछ नहीं बोला, लेकिन अभी शुरू में ही लोग बोल रहे थे यार इसने क्या कर दिया। हारते तो इसकी बैंड बजा दी थी
तो
उन्होंने।
वो वही वाली चीज है कि यार इट्स लेजी एनालिसिस, इट्स लेजी पंडितरी कि यार ओवरथिंक कर दिया है. यार अगर ओवरथिंक किया है तो जो 1000 मैच वो जीत चुका है, उनमें भी उसने बहुत बार ओवरथिंक किया है. बट प्रॉब्लम क्या है, हर कोई सिर्फ बड़ा मैच देखता है. सेमीफाइनल देख लिया चैंपियंस लीग का,
यार
क्वार्टर फाइनल देख
लेट मी
लिया.
लेट मी लेट मी एक्सप्लेन।
उन उन गेम्स के अंदर इसने कोई ना कोई एक नई चीज की है, और कितनी बार वो चीज वर्क भी किया है. आई
एग्जैक्टली,
रिमेम्बर
तो दिस
two
दिस
years ago,
या
2 years ago against Madrid, I think there was a game where they played Gabriel Jesus as the right winger or
Yeah,
left
yeah,
winger.
yeah.
One of the
Three
two. One
years
of the
ago
two.
when they went to the final, that's
three
when they
years ago,
knocked out
yeah,
Real
fine.
Madrid. They
Yeah,
played they
yeah.
played him, they played De Bruyne false nine.
False nine. अब उस पे किसी ने नहीं कहा कि
Actually,
ओवरथिंक
he
किया है,
played
और
double
उसका कह
false
रहे थे.
nine of sorts,
या
Bernardo and Kevin De
अब
Bruyne.
सब कह रहे, और जीसस को विंगर खिलाया था, प्योरली एज अ विंगर
Yes,
हु कुड
yes,
रन इन बिहाइंड,
yes.
प्योरली एज अ विंगर.
I actually
किसी ने नहीं
tweeted
बोला,
then as well that no one's saying this is overthink because he won.
किसी ने ओवर थिंक का नहीं बोला, क्योंकि जीत गया यार। तो यार नैरेटिव फुटबॉल के अंदर अनफॉर्चुनेटली सिर्फ ये है, अगर आप
Result
जीत रहे हो
based.
तो जबरदस्त है, जबरदस्त
Result
है।
based.
हाँ। अभी अगर आज अगर लीड्स यूनाइटेड में, मतलब मैं आपको मिसाल दे दूं, लीड्स यूनाइटेड अगर बच जाए, अभी रेलेगेट ना हो, सिंपल नैरेटिव आएगा, देखा सैम एलरडाइस ने बचा दिया यार। एलरडाइस, हाउ कैन एलरडाइस चेंज फॉर विद इन 4 गेम्स यार? और सो दीज आर ऑल नैरेटिव्स यार, नो वन, आई एम सॉरी टू से,
Last
इन लोगों को
last
नहीं।
narrative. Last narrative जिसकी हम बात करेंगे because before we end this, um, let's suppose, like, do you think he's going to win the Champions League? And I just want to say that I want to talk about this in the context of Pep is in such a unique position in world football that if he wins, people say he's got all the resources in the world that even like someone on Twitter could win with this team, as laughable as that is. And when Pep loses, everyone calls him a bald fraud who has overthought
ओवर
the
थिंक्स, ओवर
situation.
थिंक्स।
Yeah, who overthinks and ज़्यादा साइंसदान बनता है, ज़्यादा ही अपनी तरफ से जो है वो करता है. Who thinks football is like some sort of chess match or whatever. So what do you think is going to happen?
Again, man, it's only one game where if things go wrong, you could be playing well. It by the 88th minute, something can happen and then you can win. एक चीज जो थोड़ी सी पॉइंट आउट करने वाली है, लाइक बाय स्पीकिंग सम सॉर्ट ऑफ फैक्ट्स, आई थिंक अप्रैल के अंदर सिमोने इंजागी's जॉब वाज ऑन द लाइन. They were fifth or sixth in the Serie A, right? His job was on the line, and after that, they haven't lost a game now. It's 8 wins or some one or two draws, something of that sort, or they've climbed up to third position or fourth position. Champions League उनका secure है. They've gone through and reached the final. तो obviously वो भी उस momentum के साथ आ रहे हैं जो they feel, you know what, we can win against any opposition. We can try and win. Be resilient and then get a result.
They have nothing to
तो
lose.
वो,
उनके ऊपर
yeah,
प्रेशर कोई नहीं
they've got
होगा.
they've got literally nothing to lose. The onus would be on City. The onus would be on City to try and play. एक जो चीज थोड़ी सी है वो ये है कि Inter Milan aren't known to be a team who's so good on the counter attack. और
Exactly.
वो उस तरह की टीम है नहीं. Yes, they're defensively very solid. They play in a five
Their
three
build
two
up
out
is
of
is great.
really they play in a 5-3-2 out of possession, and they move and shuffle across. They don't press high.
Yeah.
City will have a lot of the ball. It will be interesting. जो मेरी नजर में सबसे इंटरेस्टिंग एलिमेंट है वो इंटर का बिल्डअप वर्सेस सिटीज आउट ऑफ पोजेशन स्ट्रक्चर, एंड
Yes.
हाउ दिस 4-2-4 would match against Inter's
And
completely
how do they
fluid
do it?
build-up.
Because in the
Yeah,
last few games, even against Leipzig, even against Real Madrid, even against Arsenal, they tweak the out of possession press, the
yeah.
high press,
They've
but
always, I think,
tilted it
I
towards
think,
one side. For example, अब आर्सेनल के खिलाफ लाइप्जिग के खिलाफ उन्होंने एक साइड पूरी बंद कर दी थी क्योंकि लाइप्जिग
yeah.
विंगर्स को उनके साथ नहीं खेलते थे.
बायर्न म्यूनिख के अगेंस्ट है वो बाहर बंद करके अंदर रोक रहे थे। तो वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग, दिस इज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग। मेरी नजर में सबसे इंटरेस्टिंग बैटल ये होगा, क्योंकि देखिए बाकी चीज तो वी ऑल नो, मतलब आई कैन वी ऑल नो से मुराद ये कि यू कैन you unless Simone Inzaghi goes completely against what he usually does, is they play in a low to middle block 5-3-2. They shuffle across very well. They don't give you enough spaces. 5-3-2 में they defend. City will have a lot of the ball. Uh, there isn't an
काउंटर अटैक
obvious
इतने नहीं मारते. दे
इतना
दे
ऑब्वियस
ट्राई टू
हाँ इतना
रिसाइकल.
या इतना ऑब्वियस काउंटर अटैकिंग थ्रेट नहीं है। काउंटर अटैक तो हर गेम में नेचुरली होते हैं, कोई टीम की अगर आइडेंटिटी ना भी हो। तो इट विल बी इंटरेस्टिंग हाउ सिटी प्ले इन पोजेशन, आर दे अगेन द वेरी सिटी और वेरी ऑफ द दोस काउंटर्स, या विल दे प्ले इन अ 3-2, और विल पेप कम अप विद समथिंग न्यू? बट द मेन थिंग वुड बी हाउ दे अडेप्ट टू एंटर इन पोजेशन स्ट्रक्चर,
या
क्योंकि वो
डेफिनेटली.
एक इंटरेस्टिंग चीज है। और इस बार तो ये जो जो सिटी की सबसे इम्प्रूव चीज है वो उनका आउट ऑफ पोजेशन स्ट्रक्चर है मेरी नजर में। दैट हैज बीन द की टू सक्सेस in almost all of those games that they've won, those crucial games in the Premier League and in the Champions League. So that's a narrative that is an interesting one.
I think it would be fascinating to see how the final plays out, and we'll obviously do some episode etc. on that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this has been a great discussion, Anand. Thanks so much for being on the show as always. Ladies and gentlemen, this was Pressing Matters. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Do follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, everywhere. Please do so. It helps us a lot and allows us to create all of this content that we're doing for you. And until next time, take it easy.